Yes, sir.
All right. All right. So in the last class, we were discussing things related to constructor and regarding the classes and objects. So in today's class, we'll be looking towards the overloading of the constructors. This concept we have already seen before, but at this point, we'll be uh, looking into the topic again. We'll look into few of the examples because I have covered related to the overloading of constructors in previous classes. Yeah, so what do you mean by constructor? A constructor is actually a particular function which is having the name as that of the class and which does not have a return type, not even void. Okay, the next question which you can ask is, can I have more constructors? Yes, you can have more constructors provided these constructors have to be unique to themselves. How unique? The constructors should have different parameter list, right? And when I speak about the parameter list, we'll also have few programs. I mean, the next session is all about the parameters. We'll look into it. So yeah, parameter refers to what are the information which are sending for the constructor. So this will be a parameter list for a constructor. What's the constructor name here? A constructor name, look into this class name, that is box. Is there any function which is with the same name? Yes, this will be the constructor. So as I said, constructor will have the same name as that of the class and it has some parameter list. Not mandatorily, it may have or it may not. If it's not having, it's a zero parameter. If it's having, it's a parameterized constructor. So main use of constructor is to initialize the instance variable. So which are the instance variable? These are the instance variable. So as you can see, whenever the object has been created, yeah, whenever there is an object which has been created, I think this is where, okay, so this is the uh, main class named as overloading constructor. So here, the main method is actually creating an object mybox1, mybox2, and mycube. So three different objects. So in these three different objects, whenever mybox1 has been created, it will be invoked with the constructor of box. So there it sees, a compiler sees few values. So 10, 20, and 50 are the values which this compiler is seeing now, and it sees that okay, these three values I have to send it to the constructor. So come back to the constructor of box. And box here also, as I said, with the parameters, box can have many constructors also. So this is no parameter, this is one parameter, this is three parameter. Accordingly, compiler will search is there a constructor box which is having those three parameters. So it looks okay. Is there a box with three constructor? Yes. Again, is it best suitable? It is double, 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 but you're sending it int, int, int. It looks exactly for int, int, int. If not, yes, double can also hold the value of int. Give it. So WHD, that is 10, 20, and 50 value will be with W, H, and D. Again, those will be initialized to width, height, and depth of the object mybox1. Similarly, for mybox2, the control will again come back here. Once the constructor's work is done, the control will come back to the main method. And again, the next executable statement is mybox2. Now that has been executed. So here, this mybox2 is dealing with a zero parameter constructor. And here with the constructor here, do I have any parameters? No. So it searches that. Do we have any zero parameter constructor? Okay, here it is parameterized. So this is not suitable for this. here I don't have any parameters. So yeah, this will be the best one. So if as I'm not sending anything, I'm initializing with -1, -1, -1. That means by default, -1 value will be for width, height, and depth. Similarly, I'm also creating another object which is of mycube with box of 7 as a value. So is there any box which takes only one value? Of course, with the box. So here I'm equating width, height, depth is equal to length. So all the three values will be equated to the length value which it has. So what am I sending here? 7 is the value which I'm sending here. Next we have another instance method member function of the class box. So double volume. So whenever I instantiate or call this method volume, it returns width, height, and depth. All right. So the concept here is all about the overloading constructors. That means the constructors having many name of the same class name, but we have different constructor parameter list. This is a concept of the parameter overloading, right? And I think this is a very simple concept. So we shall just look into what will be the answer. So, all right. So once we create three objects, mybox1, mybox2, and mycube. So double volume. Double volume in the sense it's just a variable here in my main class. Maybe it is used later. So volume equal to mybox1.volume. So control, where does it go? Control now searches for mybox1 object. Okay, so mybox1 object is having these three value by default. All right, so the control goes in this way from here, and it looks for the volume, because in mybox1 object I have three information: width, height, and length. Is it? So yeah, length. So what is the 10, 20, and 15? Width, height, and depth. Width, height, and depth. So here this object's value will be 10, 20, and 15. 10, 20, and 15. So these three values for my box 1. So my box 1, it's already there. So whenever you invoke a volume over there using this object here, so what does this volume do? So this volume is actually the control automatically goes here. It sees these values. So volume is width into height into depth, automatically 10 into 20. Okay, basically it will give you around 150 into 20, right? So 3000, I guess, which will be the value. So yeah, the volume will hold the value 3000, and this 3000 is actually printed. That's what you can see here as 3000. Similarly, object to volume, whenever you define object to volume, did not take any parameters. So -1 into -1 into -1 is -1 itself. So mycube dot volume, mycube here you're sending only one, right? So 7, right? So 7 cube is 347. So 7 into 7 into 7 will give you 343 as a value. So this is a concept of overloaded constructor. If you want much more working of this, you can refer to my second session video, I guess, where third session video regarding the constructor. You'll find in the detailed explanation with a different example. So here the next concept is using objects as parameters. So using objects as parameter refers to, I was sending values, right? I was sending these 10, 20, 30 as values here, 10, 20, 15, or no parameter, or 7. These are, what were these, right? These were the values. These were the values for whom? For the constructor. The next concept, what it says is, can I send objects itself as a parameter? Can I send objects itself as a parameter? All right, so we should look into that. Yes, the answer is pretty same, right? Yes, you can do it. So far we have only used the simple type of parameter to methods. Simple types of parameter refers to your basic data types, int, float, double, char, string, right, boolean. And now here we look into, we just pass the objects into methods. Okay, so we look into that. When are we sending the objects? So here, yeah, so we have a main method. So one second. Okay, so this was the program which I just copied down. Yeah, so I'm giving the class name as parameters, main class name as parameter. Then I'm creating an object of class test. Check whether there is a test class. Yes, there is a test class. In this test class, I have variable of a and b, right? So next I have a, what do you call this as? It's a constructor, right? So constructor with parameters I and j. So I have a constructor, parameters constructor, two parameters constructor. So this I am giving it to a, and this j I'm giving it to b. So the first object, whatever you send the value, that is 120 for the obj1. So 122 will be here, 100 will be saved to a, and 22 will be given to b. All right, coming back, I'm also creating second object and third object with respective value 122. So basically object 1, object 2 both have the same value. Object 3 value is -1 and -1. I hope the concept here is clear for you. If you have any doubts, kindly stop me over here and you can ask. So the next important thing is system.out.println checking whether the object 1 is equal to object 2. Right, checking whether object 1 and object 2 are equal or not. If, okay, how do I know whether object 1 and object 2 are equal? So we are just using a method called as equals, right? It's a member variable in class test. So it's a member variable in class test. So I have an equal here. So object 1 dot equals object 2. What is this type now? This object 2 is of type test, right? So here I'm sending a object itself as a parameter. That's perfectly fine in Java. You can send the objects as same as that of your values, right? Or basic data type values, right? So this is not a data type. So this is of type of class whom test. So here you are sending this object. On the other side, you also need to look into the same thing, whether it is received as an object itself. So here you're sending as an object what? So you're sending it as a test obj2, right? Similarly, here also the receiving end should also be of same type. Obj is of type test. Here it should be received and saved in the object O, which is also of type test. You can see test dot equals of test, right? If you change this as something else, error will pop up, right? So error will pop up. Why? Because this obj is of type test. Only test will understand what type of object it is. Why? Because test is having its own instance variables and instance methods, right? So this instance variable should only be understood by the class object test. So you have to give it as a test. This is very important whenever you deal with the data types or with the objects. Whenever you send, what type you send, what type you receive, both will be the same. That means if you are talking via the parameter language as English, the receiver should also be accepting the English language. If else, what will happen? The communication will not happen, right? Both should understand English or the same language. The same way here, whatever you're sending, with the same box, the receiver should also receive it. I hope the concept is clear here. So object 1 dot equals is a method which is receiving an object OB2. So that OB2 will be saved in O because I'm not making any changes to my original object. Because if I receive it with the same thing, or if I change anything by default, it will be messed up with the object value. So, and also this is passed by object, right? So object parameter, right? Object, right? And here the object2 value will be saved in O, and I'm checking out if O dot A is equals to A. What is this A and what is this A? Can anybody tell me now? What is this A referring to? What is this A referring to? Anybody? What are those A referring to? Yeah? Anybody? I thought you people would have explained this. Okay, so Boolean equals to test O if O dot A refers to this object, whatever the object2 is sending, right? Whatever the object2 it is receiving, sorry. So obj2 dot A is checking whether the value of obj1, because obj1 is what is the calling method, right? So obj1 holds value 100. Is 100 equal to this object2's value? Yeah, of course. So object1 dot A and object2 dot A both have the same value, 100 and 100. So what do you say? It returns what? It returns true. So else it returns what? It returns false. So with your understanding here, what can you say? What will be printed over here? Anybody? What will be printed over here? System.out.println obj1 equated with obj2. What will be printed? What will be printed?
True.
So it returns true. So true will be inserted, or it is concatenated. So object1 equated with object2 plus true. Similarly here, can anybody explain us what is happening here? Obj1 equated with obj3, ob1 dot equals ob3. So anybody would like to let me know what exactly is happening? Bhumika, would you like to try? Bhumika?
Sir,
Yeah, Bhumika, would you like to explain this? What exactly will happen? Okay, Prajwal.
yes,
It returns false, sir.
Okay, how exactly it returns false? Would you elaborate on that?
Object one value is not equal to object 3.
Okay, which value is not exactly equal? So whenever it is equal, it comes here. Then what is O dot A and what is A? What is O dot B and what is B? Can I explain this? Anybody? Just give a try. There is nothing wrong in giving wrong answers. Okay. So Bhuvan,
So can you please scroll the program at the top?
to up. Okay, I can do that.
that A is equal to 100, 22, O dot B is equal to -1.
Okay, so
If condition
here,
is specified.
uh-huh.
So they are not equal, so it returns as a false.
Okay, so here, what is this A? This A is 100. This value is 22. But what is O dot A? That is, this O is holding object 3. So object 3 is -1 and -1. So here -1 is not equal to 100. Here -1 is not equal to 22. So both values are not the same, right? So both gave the false and false here, and automatically it returned false. Let's check out. I run the application program here. So object 1 equated with object 2 is true. Object 1 equated with object 3, false. Right, I hope you people followed it. If not, kindly come back here and recheck it.
Sir, I didn't understand. Could you repeat, sir?
Of course, no issue. What I'll do is I'll just make use of Paint here so that I can easily make you understand. First thing, I'm creating 3 objects. I'm creating 3 objects, and I'll name that particular object as object name obj1, obj2, obj3. So I'll name this as ob1. I'll rename this as ob2, and I'll rename this as ob3. Look carefully here. Object 1, object 2, object 3 all are belonging to which class? They are belonging to test class. All right, they are belonging to class test. And inside a test class, obj object of value. What are those value? The value was a, and the other value was b. Similarly, because in my test I have a as well as b as my instance variable, and I also have a particular function called as equals, right? Member function called as equals. So as in my class test I have a and b. Object is of same class test, object 2 is also same class test, object 3 is also of same class test. So here what happens is, whenever you create object 1, object 2, object 3, object 1 is also having instance variable of a, b. Object 2 is having the instance variable of a and b. Object 3 is also having instance variable of a and b, right? This by default it should be there. Till here, do you have any doubts?
No, sir.
All right, following. My main method here is giving few values. So what are those values? For object 1, it is sending us 100. It is sending us 122. 122 for whom? For the object 1. Similarly, object 2 is also having the value 122. What about the object 3? I am sending different value, object 1 -1 comma -1. So here once I send these values, so automatically A will be assigned with 100 and B will be assigned with 22. What about C? Sorry, what about object 2? A, whenever you create this value, A will be assigned with value 100, B will be assigned with value 22. Similarly, object 3 A will be equal to -1 and B will be equal to -1. So these particular options will happen till where? This option will happen till here. I have done till here. By default, these many things will happen with only 3 set of lines. All right. So the next one is, okay, system.out.println ob1 double equal to ob2. See to that this is under the quotes. So while displaying, it will be under the, whatever you have under the quotes, this will be actually created. I mean, that will be present. So what does it print now? It print OB1 double equal to OB2, because that is what the string which I have, and by default I have to print the same. The next thing is what it is doing. It is having one valid statement, OB1 dot equals OB2. So in equals, we are doing some option, O dot A equal to A, O dot B equal to B. We are checking, right? And we are checking with what? We are checking with object. We are sending the object, we received an object, and we are checking with it. So see carefully here what exactly we are doing. So in this equals method, it is actually checking for two things, right? Equals is actually getting an object which is of O. This is O, okay? So here, what is it checking with? It is checking with O dot A is equal to A with ampersand. O dot B is equal to what? B, and this is a if condition. So if condition from here to here. So from here to here. Now, what is this A? What is this A? I have to check it out. That is important. So first thing, what am I calling with? OB1 dot equals OB2. OB1 and OB2 are checked over here. OB1 and OB2 values are checked over here. So OB1A is what? So here, okay, here what do I have? Here I have O. In this O, which object is saving? This object is saving, object 2. So object 2's will be saved in O, right? So O will be object 2. So O dot A is nothing but this value. O dot B value is nothing but 22. Why? Because O is same as OB2. I hope you understand. Do we have any doubts still here?
Yes, sir. No, sir.
All right. So O is equated with OB2. That means OB2 A value is 100 and O dot A value is also 100, because both are pointing to same place. Both are pointing to same place. Similarly, OB2 B value is 22. OB value is also 22. Got it? Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. From whom I am calling? Whose object I am calling? I am calling from object OB1. I'm calling from object OB1. That means this A is belonging to OB1. This A is belonging to OB1, right? So what is that you are checking now? You are checking whether this A and O dot A both are same. Are these values same? Are these values same? The answer is yes. What about this? O dot B, that means OB2 dot B is 22 and your calling object is OB1. So OB1 B value is 22. Are both of these values same? Yes, both of these values are same. So if that is the case, then it returns true. It returns true. So you can see here, if that is the case, it is returning what? True. Else, it would have written false. Now, for the next case, would you like to explain me? For which case next? OB1 equated with OB3. How is it working? Now I want you to explain me. I'll just clear a few things here, not required. Okay, yeah, so what is happening now?
Now object 3 is A and B variables are going to be checked with object 1, sir.
Exactly. So now here there was A, right? So here there was O, sorry. So here there was O. So this O object will be which object? Here, which object will be saving? On the right hand side, what we were sending? What were we?
-1, sir.
What object we were sending here? OB3.
OB3.
Right? So here this O is actually holding which value? OB3 value. Okay. And next, what are we checking with? We are checking O.A. That means what value will be holding here in O.A?
-1.
Exactly. So O.A is this A. What about this A?
100.
Same. This OB1A 100 which will be pointing to. Is this 100 and A both are equated? Are they same?
No, sir.
No. First condition itself is false. So automatically the else part will be executed, and else part is what? Else part is actually returning you false. So that is why the option here with equals false will be executed and false will be printed over here. That's basically what's the output which you are seeing here. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is a bit the concept is a bit difficult. Why? Because you were finding it difficult to equate with these value, right? But that's not exactly the concept. The concept was this, right? So the concept was only this, which is this object and which object am I actually calling. Only three things are important for this concept. For making that understanding, we have to go with these many valid statement, right? See to that, a program is like a story. You should read that particular program as a story only, right? And you also know that stories should be read systematically from where it should start and where it should end. If you mess up anywhere, you will not understand the story also, you will not understand the program too, right? Read the program like a story. That means you have to start from beginning and end towards the last based on the control. Okay, control in the sense where exactly my current pointer is actually running. All right, I think I have made the concept simple and clear for you guys. And yeah, so this is about the object which I wanted to explain. Same will be explained with next program also. Okay, looking towards a closer look at argument passing, I have told you that we have call by value and call by reference. We'll be looking into those. What do you mean by call by value? Call by value refers to you send the value. What type of value? A copy of a value to the formal parameter of a subroutine. That is, there'll be some calling method, there'll be called method. So calling method will send a copy of a value to the called method. Therefore, any changes made with this copy of value, it doesn't affect for call by value. But that is not the case for call by reference. The call by reference will actually send the complete reference, or in other words, reference can also be called as address. It will send the address of this particular value. So whenever you make changes to the address, that means the changes is also reflected on the main value also. So care should be taken whenever you are using call by reference, because any changes which are made for the call by reference value, it will be permanent. All right, so here I have a small example. Thus, in Java, when you pass a primitive type to the method, it is passed by value. Thus, for occurs to the parameter that receives the argument has no effect outside the method. For example, so this is just a small demo program of working it. What we'll do is we'll see the program and we'll just run it, because that would be much simple. Okay, here I'll just make this program as call by value. So call by value program. Okay, so this is a simple program. So call by value, I have main. I'm creating an object OB. And do I have a constructor in this program, guys? Do I have a constructor in this program?
Oh, sir.
No, we do not have any constructor. How do I know that we do not have any constructor? This class name function is not present, as simple as that. But it has an instant method also, that is member method it has with the name meth. So here, okay, object has been created and A is 15, B is 20. Right, so I'm printing A and B before call, A as well as B. So 15, 20 will be displayed at first. Okay, so next, this A and B value is sent to object's method value, A and B. So what is this A and B? 10 and 15 and 20 again. 15, 20 will be sent here. 15 and 20 will be sent here. And I is equal to 2 times the value which I have sent, that is 15. So I will be 30. J is the value divided by 2. So 20 by 2 is 10. That means 30 and 10 will be I and J value. Okay. So you are using the value of I and J and you are altering the value of I and J. So my new I and J will be what? Here with this function here, with this function math, my I will be 30 inside here. I will be 30 and J will be 10. But once it comes out of here and if you print it, A and B value, what will be A and B value now? Would anybody like to take a guess here? What will be my values? Basically, what will be my output? Take a guess.
15 and 20.
15, 20.
15, 20.
Both the time it will be 15, 20.
Yes, sir.
No,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
First it will be 30 and 30 and 10, and then it will be 15 and 20.
Okay, so I think Bhumika is telling first time here it will print 15 and 20 and the other time it will print.
It's correct, sir. It's 15 and 20 both the times.
All right, okay. So Bhumika is telling us that both the time it will print 15 and 20. Let's run it. Oh, we have some issue with here. This type test is already defined. Okay, anyhow, we have some problem with this application. I'll rectify it later. But still, yeah. So A before the call is 15 and 20. A and B after call is also 15 and 20. All right. That means the value A and B which has been sent to the method has no effect, and even though it has been changed with 30 and 10. Okay. So let me check here why it was giving me some value. The type test is already defined. Okay. Is check defined. Okay, I don't know what is the error here, but this type test is already defined. Where? Okay, here I guess. Okay. Return object. Huh? Excuse me. Okay, it has some error. I'll rectify it later. Okay, so if I print the same line here, if I print this particular line here, what will be my value? Anybody?
15, 30 and 10.
Okay, here a small change. I'll take it as I and I'll take it as J here. So here it will be j, and here it will be I. So here first time, yeah, whenever I display here, a, b will be 10 and 15, so sorry, 15 and
10.
15 and 20 here, and
Oh.
when I execute here, it will be 30 and 10. Okay, so it is, but checking here is a wrong thing. Why? Because that's not the value which I needed, so that doesn't make any sense. So whenever I check back here, so both will be the same. Why? Because I'm using call by value. It's about it. So call by reference is where I send the object itself. Whenever I send the object, whatever I change which you do, it will affect over there. Basically, what is that new thing which I'm doing? So if I send it as ob.math of object, then everything changes. Okay. So this object, whenever I send, this object reference will be actually utilized, and any changes made to the reference will yield towards the permanent change value. That means here whenever the value was changed, that is multiplied by 2, then it will multiply and save in the same object, because O is actually pointing to OB only, similar to what we saw in the last program, right? So, and whatever the changes which are made for A and B, that is 30 and 10, that value will be rectified here as 30 and 10. So try out with that particular objects, and we'll stop at this point. We'll actually take up the topic of returning of the objects in our next class.